They're not my kids, and not my problem. About a month ago, I found out both of my children were the results of my soon-to-be ex-wife's affairs. I've had a feeling for a while now that both them were not mine. 6 years ago when my son was born, I was the happiest I had been in my entire life. I had married my best friend, we had a child together, and everything seemed amazing. That was until he started getting older. After a few years, I started to have doubts that he was actually mine. He did not look like my child. The more he started to grow, the more I realized just how different he looked compared to what I would expect a child of mine to look like. I am not petty or paranoid enough to let that alone drive me. It was my whore of a wife that really set my alarms off. Whenever she went out, she never went where she said she did. She would have huge holes in her schedule she could never explain to me. She would refuse to allow me to interact with anyone from her workplace, and a close friend of hers accused her of flirting with her SO at the time. It did not help that soon after our son was born, her lies started to catch up with her. Still though, I loved her like the fool I was. She told me up and down how much she loved me whenever one of her lies caught up with her. She had convinced me that despite the fact she was a lying and manipulative woman, that she wasn't a lying manipulative whore. Last year, she got pregnant again, and I still held out a small bit of hope that it was mine. But when her daughter was born, it was obvious she was mixed race. I refused to sign the birth certificate, and the paternity test I demanded afterwards proved my suspicions right all along. Neither of them are mine. The day I got those test results were the day I filed for divorce from that walked away from the family I had created. I knew that it would destroy her son's life to see me walk out. Despite my concerns, I was the best dad I could be to him. I loved him with all my heart and put in 110% into being the father he deserved. Now though, when I see him I am filled with disgust. Disgust for my of a wife, disgust with myself for not trusting my instincts, and disgust that the last 6 years on my life have been for nothing. I have been told by multiple people now that I am a monster for leaving my son like this. My ex has tried on multiple occasions since I moved out to use him to guilt me into getting back with her. She will have him call me at random hours of the night crying and begging for his daddy to come back. The day I moved out, she paraded him into the room as I packed my things to show me how much damage I am doing. In every conversation that he has brought up, both online and off, I am berated and shamed. That despite the fact I am not the boy's biological father, I am his dad. What I have sadly now realized is that, to most, my own feelings mean nothing. My parents are my only supporters through all this, with my own siblings calling me a despicable person for abandoning a child like that. My feelings of betrayal and sadness mean nothing, because a child is involved. I know it is not his fault. I know that the man he called his father for his entire life just walked away, but why am I expected to man up? Why should I have to pretend everything is fine and I do not feel contempt for this entire situation? Why should I put my own life and feelings aside? I never was the boy's father. I loved him like one and honestly still do, but I would come to hate and contempt him if I had to play that role. Hate myself for not standing up and taking my own life back into my own hands. He is not my child, and even though it is not his fault, he is not my problem anymore. Edit. Wow, this post certainly blew up. Guess airing my dirty laundry accomplished something. Anyway, I've seen a few common questions so I'll just answer them here. 1. Her son knows the truth of why I left. I sat down and told him that I am not his father, and that his mother lied to me and cheated on me. I made it clear I am not mad at him, that it is not his fault this is happening, and no matter what I will still think he's an amazing kid. 2. Some are saying that I never loved him, or was always looking for a way out. It's hard to convey emotions in a text post like this, and even harder to allow vitriolic hatred towards your wife decontextualize the last 6 years of your life. You can believe what you want though. 3. I have a lawyer, and I'm not going to be paying child support or alimony. Last though, for those who say I should stay in her son's life and be his father, that's not realistically possible. I do not hate him, but I have been cheated on, lied to, and used by a vile self-centered whore who has now caught her children up in her lies and deceit. He is a casualty of her actions, and blameless. However, it can never change the fact of the harsh reality we find ourselves in. I don't hate him, I feel so sad when I think about how he feels. But, all I see when I look at him is 6 years of my life I was lied to. 6 years of my life I was used, and 6 long years of built-up doubts and frustrations with a woman who used me. There is no putting aside my hatred to try and be in his life, because the life I lived with him was nothing more than a facade cultivated by his mother. This is the harsh reality I find myself dealing with, and I simply cannot in good faith put myself or him through it anymore. Edit 2. Since I am seeing many armchair lawyers in the comments saying this post is fake on grounds of what I said above, I will not reveal what state I live in, but I am currently going through a fun legal process called disestablishment of paternity. Won't shut up 90% of you who think Google makes you a lawyer, but at least I tried. Edit 3. This is going to be my last edit before I move on from this small little distraction I created for myself. First, I want to thank everyone for their kind words to me. In the comments, the DMs, and the chat, you have given me a bright day for the first time in a while. I wish I could reply to all of you, but I cannot. Thank you enough. Secondly, I have noticed many people criticizing the word I used very profusely to describe my soon-to-be ex. I want to just say, the place I am now is one of the darkest I have been in my life. I see nothing but white-hot rage for the woman who ruined my life. Is what I said inappropriate? Is the word I used to describe her dehumanizing and vile? Yes. I will admit that, but I won't apologize for it. What I wrote here today was the truth of the world as it is for me right now. It is the raw, unadulterated stream of consciousness of a flawed man. I do not intend to try and get people to hate women, or to push some misogynistic message about how women are terrible. That is not my goal here, and that is not the message of this post. I understand why people do not like the word I used here, and you know what, I accept that as a valid criticism of what I did here today. I came here today to simply find some outlet for the situation I find myself in. To rant, mourn, and deal with the complex and raw emotions that have torn me apart for the last month. A place where I can freely speak my mind. And you know what? I did that. Today was pretty alright. Thanks to you guys. Again, to everyone who showed me love and support, thank you from the bottom of my flawed heart. To those who came here disagreeing with me but showed me respect, thank you as well. After the shame and ridicule I face in my real life, the respect you showed me despite your disagreement was nice. So long, and thanks for all the fish.